Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Made in the Shires. I'm your host, Matt Harrington with the Southwestern Vermont Chamber of Commerce. And we're watching the leaves change here in the beautiful shires of Vermont. And just like the leaves changing, a lot has changed for solar over the last 50 years. We're gonna go talk with Nathan and Karen of Power Guru on all the changes that have been made to solar and how viable that energy option is for many people here in Vermont. Come on, let's go talk to them. Hi Nathan, hi Karen, how you doing?
Hey, good.
So here we are, Power Guru here in downtown Bennington, Vermont, and none other than a solar panel right in front of us. So talk to us a little bit about how Power Guru got set up, how did it get founded, and where is it today?
So Power Guru was started in 2008 by our founder, B. Manita. He was the local power guru, I guess you could call it, and it's been going ever since then. We started out as more of a kind of a residential expertise and have grown that from residential to commercial and then community solar as well. So we do kind of all three avenues of business currently. So it's been a great year for us so far, even through the COVID, and we've been keeping going and keep going strong. So
great. I mean, we're here in Vermont, and some people may think that Vermont doesn't get too much sun, not like other places. But what's the science behind solar? How can solar work in Vermont as much as it does in any other part of the country?
Yeah, well, pretty much the sun shines everywhere, obviously. When you're at a northern latitude like we are in Vermont, there's only a couple of things that would hinder it compared to everything else. We have some, obviously a little more snow than they would in the equator and stuff like that, but we still get just as much sun as anywhere else would, and the production anywhere in the basically North American latitudes is going to be pretty equivalent to everything else. And so there isn't as much difference as you'd think it'd be from somewhere like, Georgia, North Carolina as Vermont. We're actually in a very similar swath of state when it comes to how the angle of the sun works.
Great. Karen, what are some myths about solar that are still prevalent today? We've gone through probably a good generation of solar power, and the myths of yesterday may not be as prevalent, but what are some myths that you are still having to deal with and kind of push back on?
Yeah, I mean, it is that how can we put solar on our home when we have quite a long winter? That's definitely a question we get asked quite a bit. And then also, well, I don't have a south-facing roof, so I can't install solar. And the truth is, actually, we're designing a system right now on a north-facing roof because when we look at shade reporting on the south side with trees nearby, it's like a 25% shading issue. So it doesn't always have to be south-facing. And the technology that we are seeing in modules today and production levels utilized from summer, spring through fall, carries through the winter season. So there's really no issue there of having a dark winter.
Yeah.
And then also I'd say one more myth that we hear a lot of is it's so expensive. How can it be so expensive? And the contrary to that is actually like a reality that the International Energy Agency just put out the other day in a report saying that solar energy is actually the cheapest energy in the world right now. And by 2040, we will see an output of 43% of solar energy. So there's different models out there, and you have to look at it as an investment. You have to look at the payback timeframes and realize that not getting that monthly utility bill every month does pay off and put money back in your pocket.
Great. We're here in front of a solar panel. How has the technology changed? And when did solar get on the scene, really? What decade are we talking about? And then since then, where are we at in 2020, 2021?
Yeah, it started really in the 50s, and then it has progressed quite quickly from there. We're only 70 years from that date, and even from, let's say, Like, for example, we did I went up to a site visit up in Wind Hall a couple days ago, and they had a 20-year-old solar system that had a 75-watt panel, and they had 16 of them. That is a 340-watt panel. So the person that installed it with a 75-watt panel, it's only been 20 years, but you're at multiple times of what is available in just one panel. So the power that is and the efficiency has increased dramatically over that time frame, and it's going to just continue as technology advances into the future, and there's a lot of cool stuff coming around the corner as well.
Great. When you think of Power Guru in the future, and with both of you kind of somewhat new at the helm, what's the angle for Power Guru? What makes Power Guru so special? Why would somebody come out to you and have you install solar or any other type of energy?
We actually, Bhima Nita, our founder, is a legend around here. He built so many relationships. Every week we have people calling, asking about his passing, that it really was a locally grown business from an environmentalist engineer by trade from Rensselaer. He was brilliant. He did most of our calculations we still use for our formulas and forecasting out price quotes and that kind of thing. But he built a business from scratch, and so we really do envision and desire for Power Guru to become that trusted solar expert in Bennington and beyond. And also with community solar, this model is such a buzzword right now. Everyone wants to learn about it, understand it, see if they can install it and help their local community. So we envision Power Guru, helping Bennington lead the way and become a model for solar with various projects. Also commercially, what we're seeing happening, a lot of collaboration from different businesses joining hands together.
So talk to me a little bit about that community solar. That sounds like it's almost like a co-op for energy. So talk to us about that.
Community solar is a really cool way of being a part of renewable energy. So a community solar project is essentially like, let's say there's a farm, or for example, we're doing a project right here on the mill. And it basically, you buy a share in that particular project that would offset your energy needs. And the nice part about that is you don't have to install it on your house. So if you have for example, a slate roof or a lot of shade, which happens in Vermont. So you can be a part of the community solar program or project, and those credits will actually go straight to your bill and offset it. So you can band together with a bunch of other people and in a place that has the best exposure, who has the best conditions for solar, and you can maximize your production and be able to be a part of, basically taking a community to a different place when it comes to renewable energy. So it's a really awesome way of becoming a part of not only just renewable energy, but reducing our carbon footprint, reducing your carbon footprint, and taking yourself into a new place when it comes to renewable energy.
Can I give some highlights to community solar? So really, it comes down to an installation on a roof like this Bennington mill that might power 220 kilowatts of power, and people virtually subscribing to that power for their home throughout the Green Mountain Power region. It can serve them. So you don't have to pay for installation, maintenance, like Nathan said, but also your share can move with you if you sell your home or your business, or you relocate anywhere within the Green Mountain Power region. Your share moves with you. There's a forum for just communicating with other subscribers, updates on the project, and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of communication happening within the project and all of the subscribers that subscribe to it. And then also you can take advantage of the tax credits without, and right now in 2020, 26%. So that's a great write-off there to decrease your initial costs. So
great. And it sounds like something right in alignment with the founder of Power Guru too, who would want to give back to the community. So a great thing to take advantage of. So what's an exciting project you guys are working on right now that maybe we're going to go check out today? Yeah,
so we just finished very close to finishing the Lake Perrin Village project, which is in North Bennington, and it was in concert with Shires Housing and Naylor Breen, and we were able to put solar on all 4 buildings there. All 4 of those buildings are incredibly energy efficient buildings, and they wanted to have renewable energy and solar as a part of that construction project. Jeff Goldstone was the architect of that particular project, and we worked in close collaboration with him to basically bring the most energy we could to that particular building. This is actually an example of one of the panels that are up there at Lake Perrin Village. So it's a beautiful project, and kind of is a model of what we would like to continue and hope to partner with not only Showers Housing but other people in the future to bring like residential and kind of commercial applications when it comes to bringing like apartment buildings and stuff like that to have a renewable footprint, which is nice.
Great. Well, why don't we go check it out?
Awesome.
Okay, great. So here we are, special project that Power Guru was instrumental in. Talk to us, Nathan and Karen, a little bit about what this project is about and why it's so special to you guys.
Yeah. Cool. I'll start in. So this project at Lake Perrin Village, it's a new development. It's new construction. It's a very high energy efficient project. In fact, the architect and builder developer that we worked with, and Nathan will share more about them, really wanted to focus on as much energy efficient materials as possible, so it's a very clean build. You'll see that we do have solar panels on all 4 buildings, and that was intentional for the power usage of the development. But this is exciting because it is in North Bennington, it is at Lake Perrin, it's a beautiful setting, and you know, this is a model that could be replicated elsewhere.
Yeah, we partnered with Jeff Goldstone, who's the architect of the project, and this is Lake Perrin is run by Showers Housing, and so it's it was meticulously designed so that every facet of the building, of each building, would be energy efficient, from what it's wrapped in to the LED bulbs that are used to the insulation that's used. Every single part of it was meticulously designed to be energy efficient, to be able to be renewable as well. So we were able to be a part of the project and put the solar modules up on the roofs on all 4 buildings, and the project is approximately around 50 kilowatts, and it will basically take care of all the electricity for the house of each, all of Showers Housing's needs for the next 25 years. So they won't have to worry about a power bill or anything like that, which is quite nice.
That's
so
amazing.
Kind of how we started this project, BEMA started working with Jeff Goldstone, and you know, kind of going back and forth of what were the needs that Showers Housing was going to have, as well as what the needs the architect had, and then designed each building to meet those specifications. It's very similar to what we do when we go into an actual project and go in basically to your house or your commercial site or your building or whatever. And what we'll do is we'll actually take your power usage, so your bill, or if it's a new development like this, we'll take whatever you project to be your usage needs, and we can do that, or you can have an expert do that, and we'll actually offset your energy. So we'll just say this is how much solar you'll need to offset this, and for 20, basically a system is warranted for about 25 years. It'll produce for a lot longer than that, but the actual warranties on the modules and performances are for 25 years. So you kind of think of it as, hey, you're prepaying for 25 years of electricity up front, which is kind of nice to have. So,
and probably at a savings.
Quite a bit of a savings. Yeah. You're usually somewhere around, you're actually paying for the total cost of the project will usually cost you about 50% of what you would actually pay for electricity for that 25 years, which is quite nice to have. So, It's a really, really cool way of being a part of a great project like this at Lake Perrin.
Let's go look at some of the fixtures that I know have been just kind of key to the development of this property, and again, another hallmark of Power Guru. Okay. So here we are at some of the meters that are attached to the buildings. One of the more confusing things that can be about solar power, as I've learned being with both of you, is net metering. So talk to us a little bit about net metering as we stand in front of a meter board.
Well, the concept of net metering is how solar is calculated in Vermont. So essentially what will happen is you have, up on the roof, you'll have your solar modules. They'll produce power. In this case, under each one of the modules, there's a little what's called a microinverter. That microinverter converts DC electricity to AC electricity. That runs through the building, comes out here into the main house panel. Now what the local utility will do will actually replace this inverter with what's called a gross meter. That particular meter is able to read electricity flow both ways. So instead of it just coming from the grid, going into your residence, or in this case, this building, it'll be able to tell when that array is making more power than the needs of this particular building are. It'll basically then read that it's pushing power out to the grid. When that happens, you will actually get a credit on your bill. So once it basically is the concept of you, when you use more than you're actually producing, you'll actually get a credit on your bill. So the cool thing is when you, let's say for your house, if you did this on your residence, not only can you do it for a single building, but let's say you had relatives, you had your, neighbors or whatever, and you had a large spot, on your roof, or, you had a big piece of land where you could put a ground mount, you can do something called group net metering. And group net metering is where you can actually put one particular array and feed multiple accounts out of that and share it. So we have a lot of people who will take 3 or 4 family members and share their power across the board, which is kind of cool. So if we had a project up in Peru where there was enough room for a ground mount at the parents' house, and so they created a big enough array that they can not only pay their power for 25 years, but they can also pay the power for their neighbors and friends and all those things.
It's just like what we did actually up in Sunderland for Manchester's business, Perfect Peace. Perfect Peace has a main showroom in Manchester. They have a residence in Sunderland. They had enough roof space on their residence to power their business. They're opening a second business location, and they're going to power that through that net metering system that's on their residence. So they've created their own little community solar farm for their business and their residents, which is great.
So let's say I'm interested in this. What's the first step that Power Guru, I want to get in touch with you. I watch this video. I like what I'm hearing. What's the first step? Do you guys come out to the house? How do you find where to put these things? How do you know if the house can have these things?
Well, the first step that we do is we'll talk to you over the phone and get an idea of your utility bill, because that's going to give us the best idea of what your usage is. Then we'll set a site visit to come by and basically look at the site where you have. If you have a good site for solar, we'll be able to come in. We do what's called a shade analysis. We take a little device called a solar pathfinder, which can show you exactly where you're standing, where the shade's going to be the entire throughout the entire year, which is quite nice to have. And then what we'll do is we'll take that analysis, we'll plug in some numbers to our different softwares, and what we'll do is we'll come out with what you need. If your site is good for solar, we'll obviously recommend that you do it. It's less expensive usually to put like a roof mount or something to that effect. But if you don't have the ability to do that, or you want some flexibility with community solar, either way that'll we work out which is the best way based off your usage numbers and the cost, and what's best for your budget and all those type of things. So.
What are some fun facts that that you love to share with people as they think they know solar, and then some things they didn't know about solar?
Well, one cool thing that we do and has become more and more of a part of our business is doing backup power for different residences and even some commercial entities. It is one of the actually biggest myths about solar is, let's say I have solar and my power goes out. Well, if you have solar and your power goes out and you don't have a battery, you're actually not going to have any electricity, because for safety reasons and code reasons, the solar is going to shut off. But if you have like a battery, we're a Tesla certified installer, so we install Tesla Powerwalls. If you have a Tesla battery, that solar will charge that battery, and you'll be able to be backed up, which is nice. We also install plug-ins for electric vehicles, and you can kind of, obviously back up your power with the battery, and then work that into the electric vehicles and all that. So we can basically, from start to finish, we can, take care of the energy needs.
What are some of the hybrid things that are coming out, Karen?
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk about the future of solar and hybrid technology. So, clearly already we know that we can power a solar array from charging an EV charged vehicle, but there's also these battery storage components and tying those to specific solar system. So Tesla, of course, everyone knows that they have this technology with their Powerwall that they backup power generators. So there's going to be more just advances in that regard. So you're not just installing a solar system, but you're installing a whole battery system, and it might be chargeable through different devices. So right now, nobody knows exactly where it will go, but AI is definitely going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
More
Yep.
so.
And probably how people just use energy in general.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that is a hallmark for Power Guru, when we come to do a site visit, we're not only going to, basically check for your energy needs, but we want to look at your whole energy picture. So we will tell you if solar isn't the most cost-effective option for you.
Yeah.
Like our mission is to advance renewable energy, and we want to come to your house and say, hey, maybe it's less expensive for you to put in insulation. We're not going to just say put a bunch of solar on your house. We're going to say, hey, the most cost-effective thing for you to do first, put in insulation. Go to Renewable, Energy Vermont. They have tons of, subsidies and things that can help you out with that. And that is part of our first step. And we want to look at the whole energy picture, not just solar, so that we can be able to, help our customers be in the best possible situation they can be when it comes to reducing their carbon footprint.
All right, so you're probably trying to find the perfect roof.
Usually.
Or a perfect side. Talk to us a little bit about the science behind that, a little bit of the art behind how do we find the perfect roof. We've got a great big couple solar panels up there. How does Power Guru work to find that best spot?
Yeah. Well, the first thing we do when we come to a site is look at what the roof is comprised of. So this is a composite shingle roof, asphalt. Works great for solar. We have something called a flash foot, which actually goes up under the asphalt shingles. It gets bolted into the rafters and sealed so that there's no leaking or anything like that. All your protections are there. And then you're able to put on what's called a racking system, which is right under those modules. And then the modules go on top of the racking system. The other two types of roofs that are really easy to do, the easiest is actually what's called a standing seam roof. You don't have to do any penetrations. We have little clamps that literally just clamp right on to the standing seam, and you just put it right on top of there. There's no penetrations or anything. So that's the easiest one. And then we also have we also do corrugated metal as well. Corrugated metal has another type of clamp that goes right over the rafters on the corrugated metal. Sealed everything so you don't have any problems with leaks. That's the first step, is to see if your roof actually works for solar, essentially, if we can actually put an array up there. Something like slate or sheet or shingle kind of makes it a little bit difficult to do. In fact, we don't install on either of those because of the fact that you probably crack it when you actually step on it, so we don't want to damage anybody's roof, obviously. The other is what's the azimuth. So the azimuth is basically the degree it's pointing in the direction of. So this is a great roof because of the fact that it is pointing almost directly south. So that gives you the best sunlight year-round as it travels across the sky, as the sun travels across the sky. You can also do east-west roofs, and if your pitch is low enough, sometimes a north roof if it's big enough. So that's the process when we actually go into looking at a roof, if it will actually hold solar or not. Then we'll go through the entire rest of the process is also just taking a look at your house's electric or your facility's electric, and figuring out the best way to interconnect to that particular facility.
So Matt, if you gave us a call and
Yeah.
you wanted us to come by your home or your business, the Chamber's offices, we would either send Nathan or myself or our other sales guy, Nat, and we would come, we would take photos of the external perimeter, also the electrical panel box, the roof. We have an app that we use to measure pitch, the steepness, the azimuth, and see if it's even feasible to put a roof mount on, which is typically the easier mount. It's a ground mount is usually more expensive and more time intensive on our end. So a lot of people are preferring, the roof.
One thing that is great about Power Guru too is we're NABCEP certified. So NABCEP is the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. Our designers and myself and some of us are all NABCEP certified. So we've had to go through quite a bit of training, quite a bit of rigorous education in order to be able to get those certifications. So you want to make sure that the person you're working with, whether it's solar, or whoever your contractor may be, is licensed to do what they do and is an expert in their field and can give you the best possible service.
Is there anybody that shouldn't take advantage of solar, or at least giving you guys a call?
I'm biased, but in my opinion, no. The reason being is because of the fact, there's several reasons to go solar. The obvious one, and something that BMO is incredibly passionate about, BMO was a brilliant man, and he could have done anything he wanted to do anywhere, but he chose to come to Bennington, Vermont. He fell in love with the area, and he wanted to change it. He wanted to make it renewable, and that was his vision and his goal, and that's what we want to carry on. And so the first reason is, obviously there's a problem with climate change. Obviously there is, everything changes quickly, and we're in the midst of things that are caused by this. So that's the first reason. You can be a part of helping your community push forward renewable energy. And then second part is it saves you money. Like, if we're getting down to just brass tacks, regardless of if you care or not care about climate change, it will save you money over the long term, because of the fact that you'll probably break even on your project and start getting a positive cash flow probably about 10 to 12 years if you're a residence. If it's a commercial project, it can be as low as 6 to 8 years. So you will start seeing money quite quickly and be able to save over the long term. So the biggest hurdle to thinking about investing in solar is time frame, because we're not really geared a lot of times to think over a term of 25 years. Yeah. But that is part of the investment, is realizing that this is a long-term investment that is, pays off for you in 10 years, and for the instantly you get your savings. So once your solar starts producing, day one, you're not going to have an electric bill. Yeah. I went to one of our finished projects up in Arlington a couple days ago, and I was just picking up a meter that Green Mountain Power had swapped out. He comes out and he's like, "Nathan, I only paid $16 this month." It was amazing, which was awesome. And I love to hear that and love to see that. So that's part of the joy of our job. And he's like, and so that was a really cool kind of experience. But it happened instantly. That was his first month, and his bill went from whatever it was to just what GMP calls their non-bypassable charges, and that's it. So it's quite amazing.
And here's the thing, right? In Vermont, Vermonters are educated. Everyone knows the benefits of going green, and whether it's weatherizing your home with, the right type of heat pump, or doing some insulation measures, and all of that helps tremendously. But whether you're ready to fully go electric for your heat and then tie that to a solar system. What I'm finding and we're hearing is just being a part of some of these energy committees, and what the chamber even does in Bennington, is everyone's educated. They want to know, exactly why it can work for their property or their business, and also how can they help others. That's the biggest draw, I think, from community solar is, we speak with farmers who want to use their properties to help others and power their farms and their businesses and give them a deal. So there's so much opportunity and so many different ways to set up a system, whether it's through net metering or community solar or just a roof mount or a ground mount, that I think Vermonters see the opportunity, and that's why they're calling.
I don't think I could have said it any better. I want to thank both you, Nathan, Karen, for taking us out, showing us what's going on with Power Guru and the future of Vermont and solar power. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much.